What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. Today, we're going to be trying a little bit something new. We're going to be recording everything individually, so we don't end up with 45-minute long videos for you. So today, we'll be talking about the Chiefs versus Bucs. Clayton, what do you think about this game?
Uh, when looking at the Chiefs versus the Bucs, man, the thing that sticks out the most to me is just how much of a pass Tom Brady gets for inexcusable quarterback play. And what I mean by that is, I know anytime you mention Tom Brady and bad quarterback play, everybody goes, "Whoa, whoa, are you crazy? Are we watching the same game?" Yeah, I am watching the same game. Okay, Tom Brady's best asset in terms of being a football player has never been his arm. It's never been his athleticism, right? What it's always been is his inability to make mistakes. Well, now we're seeing him miss wide open throws, miss reads. He's not looking as sharp and crisp. Part of that is, you do something for 20 years, you change it up, you're not going to be as effective as what you were doing for 20 years, right? So, I mean, that's essentially what we saw in New England. He did the same thing for 20 years, very similar style offense. Now he's having to do basically, they flip flopped everything, right? In New England, it was we're going to do our check downs, take the 5 yards here, get the yards after the catch, and then, we're going to progress to the deep. Arians is the exact opposite. He's a home run hitter, is what we call him, right? He goes deep and works to short, and that's the way he wants to play football. Going into the game, Tom Brady was one for his last 22 throws downfield. Obviously, he did connect on some deep stuff, pulled it within a field goal. I think the final score is closer than what the game actually was.
Yeah,
The Chiefs the Chiefs took their foot off the gas pedal, in my opinion. I mean, Tyreek Hill almost broke the receiving yards record. He had 200 yards in the first quarter. I've never seen anything like that before, personally, with my own two eyes. But I'm just really, I don't understand how one guy in Tom Brady can get the pass that he gets. I understand that it's a lifetime achievement award of you've accomplished so much in the sport, but we it's got to stop somewhere. Tom Brady is holding the offense back and costing them games as much as he's given them some wins and won them some games. And that's not a knock on Brady. That's not a knock on anything else. That's just the fact of the matter.
yeah, I totally agree with you. Right now, like the big problem with the the Buccaneers is like you said, it's the different philosophies. They're not, Brady for the longest time was always a quarterback that liked to take the check down. I think that's why they wanted to Brady wanted a running back so badly, and I like Ronald Jones. I like him as your typical running back, but I think that Tom Brady's so used to having that safety blanket of or a running back that can receive the ball out of the backfield. I mean, think about the long list of running backs in New England that he had that could do it, that are still there. And we talked about Vaughn from Vanderbilt. I thought he was that guy. I even thought he was that guy, but so far he hasn't been. And that's not to say that Ronald Jones can't be that guy, but you know, they haven't really given the ball to Leonard Fournette much. I mean, he has 69 carries for 271 yards, where Ronald Jones has almost 100 more carries than him for 5 touchdowns. And I just think that if they want to utilize Tom Brady's strengths, I think Tom has to be a little bit more vocal about it. But also, I think Bruce Arians has to be more willing to not necessarily change his offense completely, because I think that I mean, Bruce Arians, when people talk about him, it's the risk it no risk no biscuit, or whatever his saying is, and that's the way he runs his offense. But I think that there can be a way to mesh it more, and I hate to use this as an excuse, but I wonder if they had more of a traditional offseason, if maybe they would have had more of that meshing point right now. And I think that the Buccaneers have used this as a pretty big excuse throughout the entire season as well. We didn't have an entire offseason together. Well, no team really did. And the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't have an offseason together, and they're undefeated. The Chiefs, they're the Chiefs. I mean, they're clicking on all cylinders. Granted, they brought back a lot of people, but you'd think that that by now at this point in the season, I feel like they've regressed as a team. Like I feel like they were playing better football in that weeks the first quarter of the season. I feel like they were playing good football, a lot better than they have been the last few games.
Yeah, and I will highlight something that you said, kind of as a talking point here, right? You said, look at all the guys he had in New England, and he needs a running back, and that's why he was so vocal, right? Excellent points. That's the strength of Tom Brady is being able to find the check down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I have to ask the question again when we talk about Tom Brady: Are we going to give credit to the people in New England now? Is that something we're going to
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
Because now the whole thing is Tom elevates who he plays with. Tom makes everybody better. Okay, well, Tom now has the most clear-cut, talented roster he's ever played with offensively around him, and they can't get it done. What's the deal? This isn't this as a prolific an offense as the one that went undefeated in the regular season and lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl, right? So what is the deal here? Are we willing to give credit to all the past Patriots he's played with? Are we willing to look at guys like Wes Welker and Julian Edelman and go, oh, yeah, they are good. Guys like Rex Burkhead and James White that have made so many big plays and say, yeah. And it's simple things that we hear announcers talking about too, such as when Leonard Fournette or Ronald Jones may drop a pass in the flat, but he had to it's registered as a drop, but he had to readjust and spin behind him to readjust for the ball. That's a bad ball on Tom. It circles back to he's rushed because he's having to make the downfield read first, the vertical read to Mike Evans or Antonio Brown, or maybe it's a flag to Gronkowski, something along those lines. And circling back to, everyone wants to attack Arians and say, well, they're not meshing together. Well, I think Arians has gone way out of his comfort zone by trying to include Rob Gronkowski as a tight end, something he never does, right? The tight end
Mm-hmm.
is just an afterthought in his offense. Historically, you go back to his time in Pittsburgh. You look at his time with Andrew Luck with the Colts. You look at his really, really successful years in this previous stint with the Arizona Cardinals. All three of those teams, the tight end is not a prolific position in his offense, and he's made it a focal point to try and include. So Arians is doing his part. I just don't think he's getting help from the most important position on the offense, and that's the quarterback.
Let's remember here. I think Brady is starting to be pretty clear now that he's kind of a product of the system. Keep in mind that the Patriots are a team. Brady didn't play in 2008. The quarterback was Matt Castle, and Matt Castle. Just looking at the numbers here, I mean they're not great numbers by any means, but I mean 3,000, almost 3,700 yards, 21 touchdowns to 11 picks. And then to speak on your other point real quick, of Tyreek Hill having like 200 yards in the first quarter, there are only three receivers and one tight end that have more than 200 yards this whole season, by the way. I just thought that was an interesting tidbit. So Scotty Miller, 414 receiving yards, Gronk, 505, Godwin, 562, and then Evans 613. So but this clearly is the most talented receiving core. Not even receiving core, just weapons in general that Brady's ever had. And, do I think that Randy Moss is better than all the receivers that the Buccaneers have? Yeah, I do. But outside of that, I think that this is the most talented group on paper that Tom Brady's ever had. Yet statistically, it's arguably one of his, if not his worst. He's under 65% completion, which 64.8 still, I mean, it's still pretty good. But the big thing that kind of pops out at you is 28 touchdowns to 11 picks. He's been sacked 16 times. And they've already thrown the ball 474 times. I don't know 100% how what those numbers were in New England, but I have to say I don't think that it was ever that much with however many weeks left to go. And it's not looking good in Tampa right now.
Yeah, I think ultimately the most frustrating part on my end, whenever I'm talking about this, and I mean, anytime I always get accused of hating Tom Brady. I don't hate Tom Brady. I respect Tom Brady. He's done something nobody else has ever done. You know, he's won the most Super Bowls. He's been in the most Super Bowls. Very impressive. You can't take that away from him. But he asked for this. He got to pick his destination, much like Peyton Manning did when he left the Colts as a free agent. Peyton picked the Broncos. He did extensive research, found the team he liked, found the best fit for him. He went to the Broncos. Tom got to look into the Colts. He got to look into the Titans. He got to look into Tampa. He got to look at all these free agent destinations. I heard that, he was even trying to discuss find a way into San Francisco to play with Shanahan, right? He got to look at all these locations, these destinations for himself, and he picked Tampa. Why all of a sudden it's not his fault that he's not succeeding? I can't fathom it. I don't understand how everybody else gets the pass, but Tom Brady, once again, doesn't get the same treatment as everybody else. It's not a lifetime achievement award. Sports is a what have you done for me lately world. And what have you done for me lately? Well, you lost the football game against the Chiefs that was 27-24. You could have won. Now, granted, was Tyreek Hill going crazy? Yeah, Tom doesn't play defense, okay? Quarterback wins is not a real stat. It's a team game, right? Got to find a way to play Tyreek Hill. But the offense going 3 and out for 4 straight drives, that's on you, Tom. That's all I have to say about that, really. I mean, the Chiefs are who we know who they are. They can score in bunches quick, right? And
they are who we thought they were. We just let them off the hook.
The only thing that stopped the Chiefs is they kind of got bored with the game, and they're like, okay, let's see if old man Tom can actually get back in this thing. And that's what I got for that one.
All right, so what are you guys' thoughts? Don't be afraid to leave it in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out our other content on the East West Football Network. Thank you.